ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Oscars special edition of Silver Screen. I'm your host, Robert Haynes, and with me is the lovely... And so the Oscars have come and gone. The lavish ceremony took place in LA last night and in the wee hours of Monday morning African time. It seems Oscar has made up for the lack of diversity they demonstrated in previous years with this year's winners. So it's time for us to break it down for you. What did you think of the Oscars in its entirety? What did you think of the show?
I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very personal.
Yeah.
I loved how they brought in the tour bus and they took everyone around, and it was very, very good.
What did you think of the host, Jimmy Kimmel?
I loved him. As
you know, I don't have to tell anybody. The country is divided right now. I've been getting a lot of advice. People have been telling me it's time to bring everyone together. You need to say something to unite us. And let's just get something straight off the top. I can't do that. There's only one Braveheart in this room, and he's not going to unite us either, okay?
Best foreign film. So Tony Erdmann was tapped to win, but it didn't. And quite frankly, I was happy that The Salesman from Iran won, since it gave the director the opportunity to boycott the awards show and make a true political statement. Here's that acceptance speech.
I'm sorry I'm not with you tonight. My absence is out of respect for the people of my country and those of other 6 nations whom have been disrespected by the inhumane law that bans entry of immigrants to the U.S.
The one award La La Land did deserve to win was City of Stars. It's a very catchy tune that was beautifully performed by John Legend.
City of stars, are you shining just for me? City of stars, there's so much that I can't see.
In terms of directing, Damien Chazelle for La La Land.
Shame he's 32.
No, come on, seriously?
He still needs to gain experience, but he was good. He did a good job,
No,
I think.
Again, 32 years old. You see, the thing for me with great directors is that I think with great directors, the directing comes with age. So what did you think of Mahershala Ali's win for Moonlight?
I was pleasantly surprised. I absolutely loved him in the movie. Yes,
Yeah.
I did not like Moonlight as a whole, but I absolutely fell in love with him. I didn't know him. I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely brilliant.
And the Oscar goes to Mahershala Ali.
I want to thank my teachers, my professors. I had so many wonderful teachers, and one thing that they consistently told me, Zelda Fitzhandler, Ron Van Loo, Ken Washington, is that it wasn't about you. It's not about you. It's about these characters.
I Snapchatted that part where he was giving his acceptance speech.
Yeah.
And oh no, he's just too gorgeous.
Best actor, Casey Affleck, predictable in the extreme.
Yeah, but well deserved.
Do you think
he
so?
was absolutely brilliant in the movie. It was heartbreaking, as
Yeah.
I had said before, but his performance was world class. I didn't like the fact that he looked like a caveman last night, but
Casey Affleck, Manchester by the Sea.
Man, I wish I had something bigger and more meaningful to say, but I'm just, I'm really proud to be a part of this community in general. I look out at all of you, and I have this whole year, and I'm just dumbfounded that I'm included, and it means a lot to me.
Best actress, Emma Stone. No.
not for you.
She is a great actress, Emma Stone,
Yeah.
and she's been in better films with better performances, namely Birdman. She was brilliant in Birdman, and quite frankly deserved a Best Supporting Actress for Birdman, which she didn't win.
And I realized that a moment like this is a huge confluence of luck and opportunity. And so I want to thank Damien Chazelle for the opportunity to be part of a project that was so special and once in a lifetime. I'm so grateful to have been involved in this film, and thank you for your faith and your patience and such a wonderful experience. And Ryan Gosling, thank you for making me laugh and for always raising the bar and for being the greatest partner on this crazy adventure.
So, Best Supporting Actress, Viola Davis. She has made it a trifecta. She's won an Emmy, an Oscar, and a Tony, which is incredible.
Yeah. No, she is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't know of her a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think I only heard
she got
of
started
her
quite late in life
yeah,
as well.
She did. But she's absolutely amazing.
And also she was a
And
stage
well
actress. She was
deserved,
I think she was a stage actress before she
Yeah.
sort of translated to screen, much like Kathy Bates did in Misery. You know, she was only in her 40s when she eventually hit the big screen.
Yeah.
And I think Viola Davis was much the same. But I mean, how was that acceptance speech?
People ask me all the time, what kind of stories do you want to tell, Viola? And I say, exhume those bodies. Exhume those stories. The stories of the people who dreamed big and never saw those dreams to fruition. People who fell in love and lost. I became an artist, and thank God I did, because we are the only profession that celebrates what it means to live a life.
Then, of course.
And then the famous Steve Harvey.
I'm glad you said it and not me.
They pulled a Steve Harvey on them. What can we say?
Now, for the uninformed, that is what we witnessed on Monday morning was the greatest debacle in the history of the Academy Awards. You have two Oscar favorites, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, walking out to present the award for Best Picture. And I mean, you know, I set the scene the other day, but I'm going to set the scene again. You know, so you've got Warren Beatty opening the envelope, as you do, and all the rest of it, and then you see him.
But did you see he hesitated?
Yes, and then he started fumbling, and he was looking, and then his fumbling changed to like nothing, and then I thought he was having a stroke for a while.
Can we blame it on age?
No, wait.
I think let's blame it on age.
That's unfair. I'm not ageist. But then he clearly is panicking, and he doesn't know what to do, and he sort of just flips the envelope open and shows it to Faye Dunaway, who then says La La Land.
Come on. La La Land.
Thank you to our incredible cast and crew. We're all up here right now. Thank you to Jamie Feldman, to Gary Gilbert. Thank you to my parents.
And to the Hollywood and the hearts and minds of people everywhere. Repression is the enemy of civilization. So keep dreaming, because the dreams we dream today will provide the love, the compassion, and the humanity that will narrate the stories of our lives tomorrow. Fred?
Well, to the love of my life, Ali Lowy, I'm up here because of you. I love you so much. To my family, maman, papa, Jeff, hommage, je vous adore. Matt Pluff, you kicked this off. And Damien Chazelle, we're standing on your shoulders. We lost, by the way, but, you know.
Guys, I'm sorry. No, there's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won. Come on, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
Now, what happened was, and this is still, obviously the rumor mill's been going, but this is now the truth that's come out from PricewaterhouseCoopers, who's come out and made a statement and said what happened is that there's two briefcases of envelopes. So there's two accountants sitting backstage, each with their own briefcase of envelopes. What happened is that one was open, the other one wasn't. The one's a backup.
Yeah.
And the guy who was supposed to be handing out the envelopes to the people as they walked up onto stage was apparently too busy taking pictures of celebrities and tweeting.
No.
Yes. So
You're not serious.
No, I'm dead serious. So this guy, who we won't name, who's been named, who you can look up in the press, was busy taking pictures of celebrities and tweeting pictures instead of doing what he should have been doing. And that's how he just handed the wrong envelope to Warren Beatty. And that's how this entire debacle came about.
This is very unfortunate what happened. Personally, I blame Steve Harvey for this. I would like to see you get an Oscar anyway. Why can't we just give out a whole bunch of them?
I'm going to be really proud to hand this to my friends from Moonlight.
That's nice of you. That's very nice. Warren Beatty,
Come on.
Hello. Hello. I want...
Warren, what did you do?
I want to tell you what happened. I opened the envelope, and it said, Emma Stone, La La Land. That's why I took such a long look at Faye and at you. I wasn't trying to be funny.
Well, you were funny. That
Thank
was
you
very
very
funny.
much. Thank you very much.
Wow, this is...
This is Moonlight, the best picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Very clearly, even in my dreams, this could not be true. But to hell with dreams. I'm done with it, because this is true. Oh my goodness.
I mean, can you imagine being live on air and going through that screw up?
Oh, no.
But then the other thing is, I mean, Beatty could have rescued it. Beatty could have said, guys, I'm terribly sorry. I have the wrong envelope here. Please, can you give me the correct envelope? I don't get why he just fumbled and messed about with it and then turned around and showed it to Faye Dunaway. I don't get that. He should have just, as you said, maybe that's old age creeping up on him. But that's the Oscars done and dusted for another year, and awards season is officially over. Now, moving on to local matters. Last week, we had a sit-down chat with Helena Spring, the legendary South African producer behind such hits as Sarafina. There's a new locally flavored rom-com making its way to cinemas on March the 3rd. Keep your eyes open for this one. It does look like fun. It's Keeping Up With The Kandasamys.
Which idiot cancels morning wedding? I love morning wedding. Moron.
She a bad chick, a bad chick, a bad chick.
You look like two twins only. Don't be ridiculous, Mom. Our bodies wear the saris in completely different styles. Yeah, one is curves and the other one is cold and long with no shape.
We can't get enough of this touching. Keep getting lost in the moment. I get a rush.
What do your mothers think about us? Hashtag double murder, you're gonna die.
I found these in Jodie's bag. Oh my God. Imagine if that baby comes out like you. Shut up and think of something. You shut up. Jennifer. Jennifer. So cute, your look. Maybe we should just tell them before they all find out. No one can know about this. I'm warning you. What you been up to? Look in my eyes and speak the truth.
Someone died, huh?
Our mothers will make our lives a nightmare.
Then you're gonna do what, bro? You control your wife. You control your wife.
Joining me now is Helena Spring. Helena, you've been in the industry for a long time now. I've just been going through your list of credits on the IMDb, and it's a veritable shopping list of credits. I'd like to take you back a little bit. Tell me about when you first started in the film industry and how it's changed since then.
Oh my gosh, you're really dating me now. Look, I mean, when I first came into the industry, it was a very simple little industry which then ultimately became very television focused, and then it's taken quite a long time to get to this point, which I think is a very exciting point in the South African film industry, where we're actually making 10, 15, sometimes even 20 films a year. So it's been a long journey, and I've been lucky enough to earn a living from a job that I really love.
You've worked a lot with Helena Spring over the years. Is that relationship still going, and how did that relationship come about initially?
You know, I'm not even sure exactly how it came about. We met, we got on well, and we worked together for many years. At some point I felt I wanted to work under my own banner again. But of course we remain firm friends, and I do my thing and he does his.
And Daryl Rudd, you were nominated with Yesterday. What was that experience like, being nominated?
Well, it was wonderful because of course we were nominated as Best Foreign Language Picture for the Academies, and then for the Spirit Awards, and then for the International Emmys. So it was thrilling, you know. It's not something that we expected at that time as South African filmmakers, to really have what was a very small but unique film kind of showcased against world leaders in the film industry. So it was thrilling, it was exciting, and I certainly hope to take a South African film back there one day soon.
Right. Keeping Up With The Kandasamy is moving into the present. Did I pronounce it correctly, firstly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, brilliant. Tell us a little bit about that project and how it came to fruition.
Well, it came to fruition really as a partnership. I was working with Junaid Ahmed, and together we had a development slate with the National Film and Video Foundation. And what we did under that umbrella was really to call for proposals nationwide from young filmmakers who had the talent and the ideas, but who had not yet had the opportunity. And you know, it's notoriously difficult to get first-time filmmakers financed. So under this initiative, we looked at a number of projects. Out of that came Hard to Get, which was directed by Zian Tuli. Happiness is a four-letter word, directed by Tabang Malaya and co-produced with Bongi Silani. Both of those were huge successes. And finally, the third that came to fruition was Keeping Up With The Kandasamys. And we were drawn to it because it was such a lovely, universal, warm, human story. And in addition to that, it also focused on a sector of South Africans that really have been very neglected so far.
Exactly, they're oftentimes ignored, their audience.
Exactly, and they, you know, they have so much to offer, and it's such a kind of rich part of South African culture that I can't understand why we haven't looked at stories from that community before.
With regards to making local films, I mean, you're not only a producer, you're also an executive producer, and you've filled a number of other roles over the years. But what would your advice be to a local filmmaker who wanted to break into the industry now? What with all the piracy and with the difficulty in terms of making your original return on investment back? What would your advice be to a filmmaker?
You know, I think there's always room at the top. I think there's always, if you have a dream and a vision, there's always a way of making it happen. I mean, there's so many industries. I mean, if you look at the IT industry, for example, nobody says, I'm sorry, but there's 30,000 IT companies, therefore there's no place in the market for us. You have your unique vision. And I mean, apart from the creative part of the film business, there's a very strong business element to it as well. And if you can combine those two correctly, there's no reason why you shouldn't make a film that will not only delight South African audiences, but that should also be able to travel to markets elsewhere.
So do you think that's the key in terms of not just appealing to a South African audience, but having a film that could ultimately travel?
You know, I think the key is to make the film that you want to make it as well as you can, to try and resonate on a kind of human level, because it doesn't matter where you go, human beings are human beings, and sometimes when you're culturally very specific, your film actually has a bigger chance of success than when you try and imitate another culture. If you try to be, let's say, American or European or whatever. What if we got to offer them that they can't do better themselves? Well, what we have to offer them is our African identity and our African values and lifestyle. And whether you're a white African, a black African, an Indian African, we've got something unique to offer in this melting pot that we call home.
Keeping Up With The Kandasamys, when are you releasing on circuit, and where will people be able to catch this comedy?
We're releasing nationwide on the 3rd of March. There are sneak previews on the 26th, so at selected Ster-Kinekor cinemas. So if you want to get in before the formal opening date, the 26th for sneaks, and then of course the 3rd of March, it'll be more broadly available.
And what do you have lined up going ahead, Helena?
Oh, quite a few projects. you know, we'll announce them as the time comes, but we'll do at least 1 or 2 more films this year. Very exciting, also with young, innovative filmmakers with their own unique vision. So watch this space.
And when you look for filmmakers, what attracts you to an independent filmmaker out there? Like, for example, a first-time filmmaker. What do you see in them?
You know, I see a commitment to a very specific vision. I look at their style, at what their skills are, and so on. You know, it's never one single thing. It's a complete package, you know. Whether the person has the level of commitment it will require, whether they have the vision it will require, whether in fact they have a project that is solid enough to look at going through the whole thing of developing and raising funding and finally getting executed.
And lastly, at CNBC, we're all about the numbers. So, you know, there's been this relationship with the DTI and the NAVF over the years, but sometimes for the general population out there, the relationships are quite confusing. So how does that relationship work?
Well, the National Film and Video Foundation, I think, is one of the few organizations, if not the only one, who will actually put money into development. So you can imagine what a big advantage that is, being able to kind of keep your writer alive and to be able to do the initial research with their funding. I mean, other than that, it's all on risk and it comes out of your personal pocket, and very few people can afford that. And then the other thing is, of course, on the production front, the DTI gives a rebate of 25%, which has actually been an enormous trigger in the South African industry, because once the DTI rebate came on board, it was the first time that South African producers had the ability to actually say, we have this funding in place, will you put in the balance? You know, our biggest challenge here is funding. And the DTI has really empowered the industry and been an enormous stimulus for growth.
And where do you see the future of film going?
Wow, you know, there are so many new emerging models and people are consuming off so many different platforms that I don't look at it as the future of film, I look at it as the future of content. And that's just taking quantum leaps almost on a daily basis. So I think it's a matter of how do audiences want to consume their content? To everybody out there, do see Keeping Up With The Kandasamys. It's a really warm-hearted film with lots of laughs, but also moments that will give you pause for thought. But overall, it's wonderful entertainment and it's South African entertainment, so do support South African film.
Well, that was Helena Spring, and the movie was Keeping Up With The Kandasamys. Now, we've got a couple of our own movies to review this week. Which one did you watch this week?
I watched The Great Wall with Matt Damon. It was very entertaining.
Okay.
I thought it was a brilliant performance from him. I was impressed.
Okay, so what would you give it out of 10? Let me push you for a rating out of 10.
I'll give it 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
But you said you enjoyed it. How can you say...
I enjoyed it. It was entertaining.
Okay.
It was a good movie to fill up my time when I had nothing better to do.
So it was a feeble 4 in other words.
Yeah.
So, and a time waster.
Yeah.
Okay, my movie that I saw this week was Tess, local film. If you haven't seen Tess, do yourself a favor. Make your way to your local cinema and go and watch this film. It's a very heavy film. It's about a prostitute on the streets of Cape Town. She's addicted to painkillers.
I think
did you see the trailer? Yeah. Christia Visser, who plays the lead, is brilliant.
But it seemed very heavy.
It is. It's totally heavy. But what's so great about it, Nobs, is the fact that what it shows to me is it shows South African cinema maturing. You know, we're no longer all about Leon Schuster and slapstick comedy and all the rest of it. It shows that we now have a film industry that's growing and maturing and coming into its own, which I think is a great thing, you know. So if I had to rate it out of 10, I would say an excellent 8. Do yourself a favor and go and see Tess.
There's no real change at the local box office this week, as 50 Shades Darker is still in the top spot, but Hidden Figures, the Oscar nominee, opened really well in 7th place in just 31 cinemas, with almost 700,000 in returns for the opening weekend. Go see it.
I have seen it, and I agree with you completely. It is such a great film, and that's a great number for a film like that. Tess also opened at number 11, which is strong for this type of art house film, making 300,000 rand from just 20 screens countrywide. So support local art films and keep it going. Remember to tweet us at CNBC Africa using the hashtag #SilverScreen, and you could stand a chance to win one of 4 New Metro VIP movie tickets. Well, that about wraps it up for the show tonight, eh, Nops? Thank you so much for joining us. From me, Robert, and
myself, Mobile.
It's ciao for now, and we'll see you at the movies.